Okay, we're going to be talking about the return of Anthony Yarde. The Beast from the East is back on TNT television, formerly known as BT Sports. Let's talk a little about AY. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Bwtm Sports Gaming. If you haven't subscribed, do smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn the notification bell on for all our latest videos. 3 videos in one night. Can you believe it? We go again. Anthony Yarde, the return of Anthony Yarde. Okay, how does this go? Fight a bunch of guys who are well below world level, don't give you any threat whatsoever. You look really good in doing what you do. Then you get thrown into a world title fight against Sergey Kovalev. You'd never done 12 rounds before. You'd never fought at that level of boxing before. And then you come out a hero, but still a loser and get knocked out, emptying the tank. Okay. Then you come back and you fight Lyndon Arthur. Yeah, we know what happened there in the first fight. Personal issues. Okay, you come back. You do the business against Lyndon Arthur. Fine. And then I think you go and fight for a world title again. And now you get knocked out by Bwtm, Artur Bwtm, or Bwtm, whichever way you want to call his name. And then you come back again, I fight a guy who's a career super middleweight or flipping middleweight, and you knock him over in a couple of rounds. But you look exactly the same. You look exactly the same as you did. In fact, your stance looked even wider. And I'm like, well, you know you can go in there and blast this guy out of there. You know that you hit this guy with 2 punches, it's going to fall over. So it seems quite apparent to me that if you're this style, if you throw punches against B, even C level opposition, they'll fall over. They'll get knocked out. They'll get stopped. You'll overpower them. So you're either fighting guys like that, or you're fighting guys who've got the power to put you away, and your defense does not hold up against them. So some questions I want to ask is, where is the actual progression in Anthony Yarde's career? Like, how is he improving in his fighting? And the style he got, the style he currently has, he doesn't look like he can box any other way now. It just seems to be that style. And I've seen nothing in 2 fights at world level that has suggested to me that he can become a world champion based on the 2 fights he's had, Sergey Kovalev and Artur Bwtm. And you could say to yourself, okay, right, well, you know, both of those guys were seasoned pros, and that's why they're world champions. That's why they're world class, because they are seasoned and they're very good at what they do. And fundamentally, they're very good at what they do. Yarde's feet are way too wide apart. So he has to bring his feet together to get himself out of the way. So when you get hit with shots, you get hit flush with shots, and you can't get yourself out of the way. When you plant your feet that wide, you can't get yourself out of the way of shots. And it's not like your shoulder roll actually gets you, is actually effective, because you were in a shoulder roll when Artur Bwtm started the problems, you getting knocked out. Even in the first or second round, you're doing that stuff and getting caught in the ropes, and you're meant to be in the defensive shell, and you're still getting rocked. So that whole system, that whole foundation has to be questioned, but nobody will question that foundation. And you believe that that system works to winning a world title. And twice you've gone up the hill, and twice you failed. And there's been no adjustments. It's been same old, same old. Anthony Yarde gets knocked out at world level, Anthony Yarde is world class, but yet he hasn't beaten anybody of world class to say he's world class. So you keep throwing this story around. Anthony Yarde is world class. Let him fight Callum Johnson. Let him fight Joshua Bwtm or Dan Aziz, because as a matter of fact, I don't think Joshua Bwtm is world class. I never have. Let him fight Craig Richards. I don't think even Craig Richards is world class. I think he's a good fighter. These are all good fighters. Don't know about Dan Aziz yet, because if Dan Aziz goes on and beats Joshua Bwtm, because I don't rate Joshua Bwtm. I just don't. Nice guy, but I just don't rate him. I actually think that Yarde can beat Joshua Bwtm. I think he's tailor-made for Joshua Bwtm, that style. But that style is limited. Anthony Yarde has a limited style. He can only fight one way. That's it. See what he did against Sergey Kovalev. See what he did against Artur Beterbiev. Same style, same fighting style. You back him to the ropes. You put pressure on him. You can hit him. You can hurt him. Doesn't know what to do when he's against the ropes. He fights like he can fight off the back foot. But when you put pressure on him against the ropes, look at the Beterbiev fight. When his back is against the ropes, that's when he's most vulnerable. Yarde is most vulnerable when his back is against the ropes. But for some reason, he's fighting in, shoulder rolling and still getting caught and still getting hurt and still getting knocked out. So it's not working. And beating up guys who are C level and D level and rank 1,000 in the world, that doesn't prove anything apart from what it is. Yarde, I'm sure, has had harder sparring partners than the majority of the fights he's had, the filler fights he's had in between fighting either for a world title or defending his belt. So you can't. How are we getting to the point where we're saying this guy's ready for a world title fight? There's no like, okay, we're at a foundation level, and then we're jumping to world title. There's no intermediate. He needs to fight for a European title, Anthony Yarde. Pick up the British, pick up the Commonwealth, pick up the European, and then go for world title shot. By then, you will learn along the way. But the thing is, I think that they're scared he'll get beat at British level or get beat at a European level. That's why they never fought at those levels. That's why they were never interested in really fighting British fighters. Because if they got beat at British or European level, you could put a mark and say, yeah, Anthony Joshua, he got beat at British level, European. We don't know if he's British or European level. We just know he's not good enough at world level. Watch carefully. So they know if they get beat at British level or European level, we can mark them. All you can say is Anthony Yarde's world class. Why? Because he got beaten by 2 world-class fighters. So that makes him world class. But those are the only guys he's fought that people care about. So to me, I'm not going to say this is a scam, but the young man is a moneymaker. That's what it is. It's a moneymaker. And like, when he fights his world title fights, it's sink or swim. But he's not prepared. And you don't tell me, he does his work in the gym. That's rubbish. You need to do your fights in the ring. You need to fight against good quality opposition to test you, to test your technique. That's what it's there for. You're trying to jump the queue. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. York versus Kovalev, I was thinking was so close. Watching live. Since then, it makes you feel like a decline of a career. Well, wasn't that close, It was one round that was close, which was the 8th round when Yarde went for him. But I said in strategy to the fight against Kovalev, if Kovalev, you need to jump at him from round 1. If you let this guy get behind the jab and like boxing you behind the jab, you're getting knocked out. You're getting beat. What did they do? They try to box Kovalev. You've not got the boxing ability to outbox Kovalev. You've not got the fundamentals to beat Kovalev. You still cannot get past the jab. It's a problem. So any guy that's any decent has got a good jab on him and you've got a nice straight right hand, you're getting caught. Go back and look at the Kovalev fight. Go back and look at the Beterbiev fight. Yeah, he threw some good punches in the exchanges. Yeah, he did. But look, from almost the second round, he was rocked by a right hand or a left hook by Bwtm. And yes, Bwtm can punch, but you're meant to be the master. I mean, otherwise, why are you doing shoulder roll? It's ineffective. I can get you do shoulder roll and still getting rocked and getting wobbled. What's the point? Yarde is trapped in a style that I don't know is good enough for world level or elite level. Or is that style just good enough to be a journeyman, a high level journeyman? Is that what it is? Or is that style good enough to really win a genuine version of world title? What level is your Anthony Yarde? Where is Anthony? What is Anthony Yarde's peak? What level is Anthony Yarde? And don't tell me he's world class because he got beat by two guys who are world class. That doesn't make a guy world class. You've actually got to beat somebody. That's what I thought. I thought you had to beat somebody to be considered world class. World class means that you are at that level or around that level and you beating guys in that level. Who is Anthony Yarde beaten? Okay, let me ask you two questions. Who's Anthony Yarde beaten? That's world class. One. And two, who is Anthony Yarde knocked out to say he's a world class puncher? Lyndon Arthur. Go on, say it. Lyndon Arthur. Okay. Lyndon Arthur has got an IBO title. I think Lyndon Arthur is a very crafty, very good boxer. But nobody's going to talk about Lyndon Arthur versus Bwtm with a straight face and saying that Lyndon Arthur's beaten Bwtm. Nobody's going to say that. So where are we going with this? Where exactly are we going with this? Where are we going with this idea that Anthony Yarde's world class? Listen, I love Anthony Yarde. Yeah, I would go. Yes, I would rush home to watch Anthony Yarde fight. Love him. I love the dude. I love his aura. I love what he's got to say. He looks like a man that can do the business. I just think he's trapped in a system that's undoing the business for him. That's what I think. I think he's a guy who's got the tools, who's got the right, he's got the tools to do the job. Let me rephrase that. I think he's got what it takes to be a world champion, but I don't think he's been built correctly. That's it. Whether it be mismanaged, whether it be the wrong foot. It's like playing the Manchester City side with the wrong formation and it's like playing Haaland in goal and like their goalkeeper up front and wondering why we're not scoring goals. That's when I look at Anthony Yarde. He's like a guy who has the ability to be a world champion, but he's wearing metal clogs in chains and he's constantly walking to quicksand. That's how I look at it. That's what it is. I would like to see Anthony Yarde with a totally different trainer and see if they can add to what he has and somebody in his management team who has faith in him to actually fight these fights where he can gain that key information and key knowledge so that when he's in the gym, he knows, right, I got caught with that shot. I got caught with this shot. I got caught with this shot. I'm getting caught with that shot. I need to do this. I need to do that. And that's how we learn. You can't be learning about what shot, how to avoid what shot against the best in the world, because that's where you're getting exposed every time. Your learning is coming by fighting against the elite guys. And in the process, you're getting knocked out. So that's not doing your body any favors. In fact, miles on the clock, every time you get knocked out like that in those bruising fights, it's not like you're getting hit with one shot and getting knocked out. You're getting beaten up and knocked out because you're taking more punches you should be taking, and then you're getting knocked out on top of it. And you're not doing the right work necessary to prepare you for those fights. So you're not prepared to go into those fights. There's no difference between me going in there and fighting a bunch of guys like I'm a light heavyweight and I'm knocking out guys who's middleweight, and then you stick me with a genuine light heavyweight who's from Russia and has got a great packed amateur career, and you know, he's a monster puncher, and I'm coming in with some style here that only works well against guys. It's almost what, like in cricket, they call it a flat track bully. Is Anthony Yarde a flat track bully? I'm afraid to say, from what I'm seeing, he is. But I don't think that's his fault. I just think that he's in a position where I actually don't think he's getting any better. And I don't think the way he's been managed is helping him. So it just looks like another money grab coming up here where, yeah, you know, he's going to fight the winner of blah, 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 and then he'll get a world title fight. I mean, why doesn't anyone say fight for a British title, fight for a European title, fight for a world title, fight Dan Aziz, fight these guys? You know what I mean? Fight guys where we can see what your level actually is. And then instead of this hype about you being world class, which I don't think you are, because you haven't done anything. That's my thoughts. I've got to call it for why I see it. Yeah, I love Anthony Yarde. I love that brother. I really do. But sometimes truth has to be spoken. And if you can answer those questions and say, you know what, show me the fights that you've done, you fought to get you in a position to prepare you to fight for a world title. You're not ready. It's like you know, before you could run, you had to walk as a baby. You learn, baby, toddler, kid, teenager, that you can't skip it. You can't skip. It's like, you can't skip it. You can't go from primary school right to university. It doesn't work that way. But for somehow, some way, in the world of Anthony Yarde, that works. And then what you do is that you start off at primary school, and you do your education at primary school, you go up to university, you flop at university, and you come back down again to primary school, and then you go back up to university again, you flop back down at primary school, go back to primary school again, and you go back to university again. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So if you can show me how that system works and be successful, go ahead. It doesn't work. And it can't work in business either. It's just, no. So I'm fed up. I don't want to see no more. Get my camera back up, so. I turn my own camera off. Can you imagine that? I don't want to hear no more about Anthony Yarde and his comeback fights. I don't want to hear about Anthony Yarde fighting Joe Blow from Yugoslavia or Slovakia or I don't want to hear. I'm not interested. I'm bored. And seeing Yarde bang a guy out in 2 rounds, I'm just not interested because he's not learning anything. He's not learning anything in his fights. I just want to get back in there and beat another guy up that you know is not going to pose you any threat whatsoever. I'm done with that. Next time I see Anthony Yarde fight, I want to see him fight somebody of stature or somebody decent. Doesn't have to be world title fight, but somebody decent. That we know his name or we know the level they're at and what they're good at. Give me a Craig Richards fight. Let me see Yarde against Craig Richards. Will you put him against Craig Richards? Probably not, because that's a dangerous fight. Craig Richards got both hands, nice long jab, nice, tall, long, good boxing fundamentals. You don't really want a fight like that. But I think a fight like that would be good for Anthony Yarde, because at least we see where he's at, see where the progression is. But with that wide stance, you ain't going anywhere, that man, bro. That stance, you look worse. I'm sorry. But who am I? Just a guy on the other side of the other side of the screen, kind of just caring for a fighter that I think I've got a lot of time for. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about Anthony Yarde. Do you think he's improving? Do you think his comeback showed that he's making improvements? And how do you think Anthony Yarde is doing? Do you think he's world class? And if so, who do you think he's beaten as world class? And who is he knocked out as world class? And when I think about the Lyndon Arthur fight, I think about a guy that said he didn't want to be in that contract. He really didn't want to be in that rematch, and he wasn't happy about it. His team wasn't happy about it. And he seemed like a guy who just didn't want to be there on the night. Not because he didn't want to fight, he just didn't want to be there because of the contractual issues, wherever that may be. That's what I feel. Anyway, I'm not taking anything away from Yarde, but I'm just saying that that fight wouldn't have done him any favors. You're fighting a guy and beating a guy that you should have beat the first time round, but issues outside the ring, were, it's understandable. And you did the business in a rematch. But still. Anyway, I'm out of here. Have a really good night and look forward to the boxing tonight. Take care.